So you're hitting the gym, you're trying to get jacked, trying to build muscle and achieve your dream physique. But there's one mistake that almost every guy makes, and it holds them back months or even years of progress. In this video, I'm going to cover this one single mistake and how if you can avoid this pitfall, you're going to see massive results in no time at all. And I'm also going to later, I threw up some visuals on my laptop and I'm going to go over a bit of a diagram with you later on. So first of all, what am I talking about? So I'm talking about people who don't fully commit to the bulk, especially when it comes to their diet. They want to bulk up, they want to build muscle mass. Maybe they're not convinced of the bulk, but they know they want to build muscle mass. They know they want more muscle than they do right now. But when it comes to their diet, the mistake that they make is that they try to eat clean, they try to eat healthy, they're limiting their carbs, they're limiting their sugar intake. And what that does is it just limits their gains. Some people maybe do it because it's an information gap. They don't understand that bulking up and eating very healthy are two kind of different things that don't really go hand in hand together. They only see it as fitness. And so they put that together and it just doesn't end up working out that well. When you're bulking up, you don't want to be eating clean. Not because eating clean is bad for you or unhealthy, but because eating clean requires you to limit your calories, it requires you to restrict your diet. And anything that limits your calories, anything that restricts your diet is going to hold you back a lot more than you might realize. And we're going to go over that a bit later. But for now, you need to understand that it's going to hold you back. Now, the second reason people make this mistake is because they're afraid of putting on the fat. Now listen, this mentality and this negative mindset is going to hold you back from ever making any progress. The amount of fat that you're going to put on is going to be so minimal compared to the amount of muscle mass that you're going to make, compared to the amount of strength that you're going to make. It's such an illogical, overthinking, anxious thought to have, to be worrying about the tiniest bit of fat that no one's even going to recognize in comparison to the large muscular gains that are possible when you bulk up and when you build the muscle mass. Now listen, personally, I understand that too because I was there in that position as well. The thing is, mentally and physically, we're just resistant to change. We'll make excuses, we'll overthink, and we'll find any reason to not do it. But the truth is, you gotta do it. You gotta get over this mental hurdle. You gotta realize the fat gains are going to be very minimal compared to your muscle gains, and you're not going to look fat if you train correct. And so another thing you have to realize is not only are you restricting calories when you eat clean, you're also restricting essential functions that build muscle mass. For example, people limit carbs. And what happens is you need carbs in order to build muscle mass. People will limit their sugar intake. And the thing is, you need sugar to build muscle mass. So all these things are a lot more important than they might realize. But leading to my next point, it also complicates the process by so much. It is so much easier when you don't think about the kind of food that you're eating, and it's so much easier when you don't think about the calorie count or the amount. As long as you know that you're eating big, it simplifies almost half the equation of getting jacked. Now all you have to do is focus on showing up consistently and pushing yourself hard. If you can do that, you're going to see massive gains within just a few short months. You're going to be looking unrecognizable. You're going to look like your own older brother. Anyway, so with that being said, let's get into the visual that I made. So I made this on Canva. I can't use my OBS. It's like, it's kind of broken. So we're going to have to use my phone. I'm just going to see if it can see that properly. So here we have the classic way, the way most people do when they first start hitting the gym. They're trying to build muscle mass, trying to make a change to their body. They eat clean. And so here, see, we have the middle factor. So we have the diet and then all the factors going down the middle. And then we're going to talk about how eating clean and eating dirty affects each. I put dirty in quotes because dirty, you're not going out of your way to eat dirty, but you're just eating big and you're not being restrictive. That's what I mean by dirty. Okay, let's get started. So your gains. So when you eat clean, your gains decrease because you're limiting your diet, you're restricting your diet. So you're restricting your gains. That's just how it works. You don't gain more muscle by eating less. Your energy levels go down when you're eating clean. You're not having the carbs, you're not having the sugars, and so naturally your energy levels tend to go down. It becomes more of a grind that you have to push through. The enjoyability goes down. Because you're eating clean, you're not enjoying the food. The taste is not good. Sometimes you're gonna have to force yourself to eat it instead of just going crazy after every workout. Sustainability goes down. So, because of all the other factors we said before, it's not enjoyable. You have low energy, it's just harder. The sustainability goes down. Most people who try doing these kind of things, they end up crashing out after just a couple weeks because it's just way too much. It's just way too much effort. Like I said before, when we don't do the clean bulk, when we do it dirty, it's so much easier. We basically simplified half the equation into like almost nothing, right? So the sustainability on that side is like infinitely better. Your calories decrease, of course, right? You're limiting your diet, you're limiting your calories. I guess this is the one thing that people kind of look at and they're like, oh, that might be a good thing actually. Listen, man, if you're trying to bulk up, it's not a good thing. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any logical sense. If you're trying to bulk up, obviously you want more calories. Yes, at some point there's a limit. You don't want to like just go crazy, especially with junk food or something, but for the most part, calories are always going to be a good thing as long as you're not going crazy on like desserts. Your commitment. So this is one that I want to talk about as well. So your commitment actually decreases when you eat clean, because what ends up happening is that you kind of have like this safety net where it's like, okay, well, at least I'm not putting on fat. I'm not fully committing to the bulk, right? Like I'm eating clean, so I can stop at any point and it'll be fine. And so your level of commitment decreases. Whereas when you're eating big just in general, what happens is your commitment is much higher because you have to make that transformation, right? You're eating big every single day. So you're just more focused on the mission. You're more committed to the mission. Whereas here you have a safety net, you have a cop-out, and obviously it's less sustainable, so you're less committed as well. Your satisfaction decreases when you eat clean. You go to the gym, you're doing the hard work, you come back home and you're eating dry meat and plain rice. It's just not fun. It's just, you're not going to be satisfied with the overall work. For me, when I go into the gym, I train hard, I hit the gym hard. I was like, yeah, that was a tough workout. I had like the Sulek breath after finishing the workout. So I come back home and it's like, wow, I'm gonna eat like this massive, large meal that's gonna be like really satiating and like making me feel really good. If I had to eat dry meat and plain rice, or not even rice, because some people who eat clean don't even eat rice, it's a different story, right? Your price. So the cost of eating clean increases, right? Because now you're being more selective with your ingredients. So what ends up happening is the price goes up. The effort, you have to spend more effort thinking about your food, and you have to spend more time cooking it, more likely, because they're more restrictive, right? Time spent. So you have to spend time cooking it, you have to spend more time cooking it, more time shopping for it. The probability of success decreases with the clean bulk. I almost know no one who's actually successfully clean bulk and made big gains. Whereas with the dirty bulk, my friend Jake, me, we went to the gym. We didn't know anything about diet, anything like that. We just knew that we had to eat more food in order to grow, and so that's what we did. And we saw huge results. We outpaced everybody who had been hitting the gym from before, all of our peers, all of our friends, and we were like the gym guys for like the next few years. And I still am, but I think he is too. I don't know. All right. Now we'll just run it down the dirty aisle, the dirty in quotes, right? It's not really dirty, but we're just not restricting ourselves. And so we'll just do it quickly. Again, it's like the opposite. It's just the opposite side. So your gains increase, right? You're eating big, you're gonna grow. Your energy levels increase. You're getting lots of sugar, you're getting lots of carbs. You're gonna have more energy for the gym. You're gonna have more energy outside the gym. Your enjoyability increases. The food's gonna be tasting better. You're gonna be highly motivated to eat the food. And that's gonna result in big gains. Sustainability, take these first three factors, put them all together. It makes for a really simple, easily, fun, replicable process. So you want to have the sustainability, you want to have that increase. So that you can see the sustainability, it increases. Calories increase, right? We're not being restrictive anymore. We're seeing bigger growth in calories. Like I said before, unless you're eating like 2,000 calories worth of like dessert, it's not gonna be a bad thing. It's gonna result in more growth. Your commitment levels are going to increase. Like we said before, you're not going to have that safety net anymore. You're going to be eating big. So of course, every time you eat big, you're going to have to, put in the work in order to see the results. Everything's going to go together. You're going to push yourself harder. You're going to be more motivated to eat more food and see more growth. And so your commitment is just going to be at the roof. Once you've been like 1 week into the bulk, if you've actually committed fully with the diet and with your routine and your training regimen, you're probably going to be locked in if you take it really seriously and you push yourself hard. Okay, satisfaction increases. Like I said before, with the food and the training, you put everything together and you're going to feel good about it. You're going to feel like you're actually building something of substance and value. And I'm telling you that if once you're in the middle of the bulk, it's going to feel amazing because you're going to be seeing like real growth. You're going to be seeing real strength gains, real progression, and it's just the best time. It's like the peak of the gym. It's like you're in your prime gym phase. It's just like, I miss it sometimes, like thinking back, because right now it's like I don't lift more, I don't see growth, I'm just going to maintain. So it's still nice to get a pump, but
the vibe's entirely different. Whereas, with the bulk, yeah, it was a grind, like training to failure all the time, but it was incredible to see the progress. There's nothing like it. Now let's go to price. Decrease, because we're being less restrictive with our diet. Obviously, that means that we open up more options and we don't have to waste as much money being selective with our food. Effort, decrease, right? Because this is a big one. Because we're not being selective, we can kind of just eat whatever. Obviously, we have to be aware of the protein. That's the only thing that we really need to worry about. Does the food have protein? As a brown guy living at home, that was maybe sometimes an issue. But for most of us, most foods are going to have a decent amount of protein. As long as we're eating a lot, we should be hitting our goals. Time spent, decreased. So same thing ties in with these first 2 points. Because we're being less restrictive with our diet, we don't have to spend as much time making the food. We can eat other foods, we can eat takeout more often, we can eat fast food more often. On top of that, we can cook foods that we know we're comfortable with, and we don't have to be as meticulous about the food that we're cooking, the food that we're eating. And so it's just going to save us a lot of time in the long run. And lastly, probability of success. When you bulk the way I told you to bulk, when you don't restrict your diet, when you just focus on eating big, hitting the protein, you simplified the equation. On top of that, you made it a lot more fun. And what that's going to result in is going to result in a high probability of success. Unless something super detrimental happens, you should be highly motivated, you should be highly driven. And because the process is simple, it's easy, and it's fun, I don't see a way in which you're not going to succeed. Unless somehow something detrimental, like I said, happens, you're going to see success, you're going to grow and see big gain. Like I said before, the biggest issue is that people just don't. What the fuck? Anyways, guys, I basically got everything I want to say out for this video. I hope that makes a lot of sense to you now. I hope I inspired you and maybe provided some clarity and guidance to people who are looking to bulk up and gain significant amounts of muscle mass. You want to commit to the bulk, you want to eat big, you don't want to be restricted with your diet. It's the number one reason why people fail. It's the number one reason why people are stuck in the gym for years and years without making any change to their body whatsoever. If you want a better physique, you want more muscle mass, you gotta commit to the bulk fully, and that means with the diet as well. Don't make the mistake that lots of other guys make, and make sure that you're eating big to get big. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed these tips, be sure to check out my free checklist in the description below. It has my best tips on how to gain your next 15 pounds of muscle mass. So if you're looking to bulk up, if you're looking to build muscle, be sure to go check that out. Subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Help guys make the transformation to go from skinny to jacked. So if that's of interest to you, be sure to subscribe. But with that being said, like the video if you did. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.